Of course, there is still a lot of talk right now about COVID-19 and the vaccines and the process. But what is the process? What is the role between that and the private sector? Well, we're going to dig into that this morning with a special guest. We have Kelly Anderson, the Senior Director of Health and Drug Policy at the U.S. Chamber's Global Innovation Policy Center, joining us. Good morning, Kelly.
Thanks so much for having me on today.
This is so interesting. Obviously, I mean, it's still all the conversation, people still wanting the vaccines. Where do we go? How do we go? How does the private businesses, us here in Florida, I feel like, are kind of starting to see that. How is the private sector going to take a piece of this puzzle?
Yeah, I think we've certainly seen it's really been an all hands on deck approach when it comes to the response to the pandemic. At the Chamber, we saw at the outset that we weren't going to be able to get Americans back to work until we first got them back to health. And it was going to take all of us working together to achieve that goal. So, right now we have 2 FDA authorized vaccines and a number of effective therapeutics. And these medicines were developed at an unprecedented speed because of the unprecedented scale of public-private sector collaboration. So, we've certainly seen that while the government and universities often invest in initial clinical research, the private sector has contributed its vast expertise at conducting clinical trials, manufacturing novel medicines, and bringing those medicines to patients. And, these partnerships, I think, are going to be especially important given this rapidly changing landscape that we're seeing with these new virus variants emerging. But, I think the thing that's important for consumers to know is that, the innovative community really followed the science towards the discovery of these vaccines. And we will obviously continue to do so to make sure that they remain effective against the new strains of the virus, because at the end of the day, we're really all in this together.
We really are. Talk about the record time that these vaccines were made. And I think it still causes a lot of people, some questions on, are they safe? What do you say to that, Kelly?
Yeah, I think first it's important to say at the outset that people can and should trust that these vaccines are safe. I'm somebody that's immunocompromised, so I can truly appreciate the sentiment behind some of the skepticism. I honestly had questions for my doctor too. So, I think there's 2 things that are really important to note. So first, these vaccines are definitely new, but they were not developed overnight. The technology used in both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines actually dates back to the 1990s. And it's because of the policies that we have in place here in the US, which includes strong intellectual property protection, that has allowed innovators to try to harness the power of mRNA technology. So again, while these vaccines were developed in truly record time, they're the result of decades of scientific research that we've now successfully applied during the pandemic for the first time. And then second, as we've heard Dr. Fauci so aptly note, medical advances that used to take years can now be done in a fraction of that time without compromising safety. So we currently have, again, those 2 FDA authorized vaccines, but there are dozens more in the pipeline, and all of them have followed the rigorous protocol for US regulatory approval. And it's also important to note, that safety review is ongoing. The CDC and the FDA are continuing to monitor the safety and efficacy of these vaccines over time.
There's just so much information out there, which is a good thing, and I know can also hurt as well. Where would you send people to kind of follow this? We have about 30 seconds left. Where's the best kind of resource to go?
So if you're looking for vaccinations in your community, you should go to your state's Department of Health website. You can also find a number of resources at uschamber.com. So we encourage folks to look there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We, of course, appreciate it very much. We'll make sure this information gets on our website as well.
Thank you so much.